All right, folks. In a stunning moment which should have Pete Hegseth's asshole clenched in terror, Donald Trump, on camera, effectively threw Hegseth under the bus regarding the recent bombshell report that Hegseth effectively ordered a murder and war crime. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, this is terrible news for Pete Hegseth, which I would argue is good news for America. The fact that it's so bad that even Donald Trump is being really cagey in how he addresses this. Before we get to the clip of Trump, just as a reminder, it was recently reported that when it comes to the Navy operations in the Caribbean, off the coast of Venezuela, for example, that as Hegseth and Trump are attacking, alleged drug traffickers, and we have no evidence that that's the case, by the way, that in at least one instance, not only did Hegseth order the unilateral preemptive attack on a boat, he sank a boat that wasn't attacking them. When there were survivors of the shipwreck, Hegseth said, kill them all, no survivors, and ordered what the military refers to as a double tap, okay? So just war crime upon war crime. This is broken all over the place, and again, we'll get to the backlash, but Trump was confronted about this, and his answer was shocking and should have Hegseth incredibly worried. Take a look.
For clarity, if there on the Venezuela boat strike, if there were a second strike that killed people, even in the first strike, were you thinking that illegal?
I don't know that happened. And Pete said he did not want them. He didn't even know what people were talking about. So we'll look into it. But no, I wouldn't have wanted a second strike. The first strike was very legal. It was fine. And if there were two people around, but Pete said that didn't happen.
Does that make
I have great confidence.
You saying there's no second strike?
I don't know. I'm going to find out about it. But Pete said he did not order the death of those two men.
Do you have any concerns about how those boat strikes have been carried out at all?
Very little, because you can see the boats, you can see the drugs in the boats, and each boat is responsible for killing 25,000 Americans. So, and they're doing an amazing job. And we're getting, you just look at the numbers, the amount of drugs coming into our country by sea is infinitesimal compared to what it was just a few months ago.
So again, as a reminder, even if these people are drug traffickers, and again, Trump claims that they are, but has provided no proof to members of Congress, which is a big deal because there should be congressional oversight. Number two, he hasn't offered any proof to the American people, which means, number three, we have no reason to take him at face value. This administration is more dishonest than any in modern American history. We have no reason to take them at their word, number one. Number two, listen to how Trump talks about this. Well, I don't know that, Trump is a man who constantly doubles down just out of pride and vanity pretty much every opportunity he gets, no matter how stupid, right? This is a guy who doubles down because he was taught by his mentor, Roy Cohn, never apologize, never give an inch, always double down. He's not doing that here. He's trying to have his cake and eat it too. He's like, well, I don't know that this thing happened. I mean, I don't know that the reporting is true. Hegseth denies it. More on that in a second. That's what Trump says, but more on that in a second. And then Trump says, I wouldn't have wanted it. I wouldn't have wanted it. In other words, he is preparing to throw Pete Hegseth. He is positioning himself, if need be, to throw Hegseth under the bus. He's not standing by his man. He's not like, of course, Pete Hegseth would never do such a thing. Pete Hegseth has my full confidence. This is just it's fake news. It's fake news. Or you could also see a world in which Trump was like, well, they're drug traffickers. They're terrorists. And if they happen to survive when we take them out, might as well go the full step, right? No half measures. You could see Trump doing something like that. He's doing neither of these things. Instead, he is preparing to throw Pete Hegseth under the bus. It is shocking, shocking. And of course, Trump is just wrong or stupid or lying about Pete Hegseth's denial. As bad Fox News graphics and the Tennessee Holler have noted, Hegseth has never denied the second strike. Quote, Pete said that didn't happen. Donald Trump lying about killing defenseless Venezuelan boaters. Pete Hegseth did not deny the second strike. Notably, Hegseth does not deny a single word of the story he calls fake news. He just calls it fake news, but doesn't actually deny. Of course, we would never do such a thing. Of course, such a thing is a war crime. Of course, such a thing would be a violation of federal and international law. He's just like, fake news. He tries to do what Trump does. Don't get into the specifics. Don't rebut the claims. Just say fake news and try to reframe the narrative to something that's beneficial to you. It's not working here. And it's going so badly that even Trump is starting to put distance himself. Well, Pete says it didn't happen, but I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want it. And when Donald Trump who's about as murder horny as it gets as far as chief executives go, when even he's like, whoa, that's pretty messed up, you know you're bloodthirsty if you're giving Donald Trump pause. As Ryan Goodman, who's a national security expert and lawyer, points out, former U.S. military lawyers speak out. The former JAGS working group unanimously considers both the giving and execution of these orders, if true, to constitute war crimes, murder, or both. So let's take a look. This is on November 29th. Yesterday, the Washington Post and CNN reported that Defense Secretary personally issued orders to, quote, kill everybody aboard a civilian vessel suspected of narco-trafficking. The attack on the 2nd of September targeted a vessel carrying 11 civilians and allegedly an unknown quantity of drugs. The first strike resulted in near total destruction of the vessel. However, 2 survivors were apparently observed via surveillance clinging to the wreckage, whereupon the commander directing the operation ordered a second strike. The second strike killed both survivors. The former JAGS working group unanimously considers both the giving and execution of these orders, if true, to constitute war crimes, murder, or both. Our group was established in February 2025 in response to SecDef's firing of the Army and Air Force Judge Advocates General and his systemic dismantling of the military's legal guardrails. Had those guardrails been in place, we are confident they would have prevented these crimes. If the U.S. military operation to interdict and destroy suspected narco-trafficking vessels is a non-international armed conflict, as the Trump administration suggests, orders to, quote, kill everybody, which can reasonably be regarded as an order to give no quarter, and to, quote, double tap a target in order to kill survivors, are clearly illegal under international law. In short, they are war crimes. If the U.S. military operation is not an armed conflict of any kind, these orders to kill helpless civilians clinging to the wreckage of a vessel our military destroyed would subject everyone from SecDef down to individuals who pulled the trigger to prosecution under U.S. law for murder. These are JAGs, Judge Advocate General. These are the military lawyers. They know the law infinitely better than Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth ever will. These are the experts. And they're like, we know, you don't, we're right, you're wrong, per usual. You just committed a war crime and murder. Politico is also reporting it gets even worse in some respects for Hegseth because we know how deferential and supine these Republican lawmakers have been. Whatever you say, Donald Trump, whatever you say, God Emperor, whatever you say, well, they are launching an investigation into this. As politely as possible, no doubt, even this tepid, feckless Republican Party is like, sure looks like war crimes and murder, pretty disturbing if true. We're going to have to look into this. We're actually going to have to exercise oversight for the first time in a long time. Politico reports, lawmakers warn Hegseth may have committed war crimes following second strike report. Democrats and even some Republicans said Hegseth's orders may have been illegal if a report on his commands to kill survivors of a boat attack are true. We'll skip to the good stuff because obviously Democrats, who are morally superior to Republican politicians, Democrats have been on this. But let's hear what the Pentagon and Republican politicians have said. The Pentagon declined to comment on beyond a Friday social media post in which Hegseth branded the Post's article as fabricated, inflammatory, and derogatory reporting, insisting, quote, our current operations in the Caribbean are lawful under both U.S. and international law. Hegseth did not dispute that he gave the orders detailed in the article. Again, glaring omission. While skeptical to concede that the Washington Post reporting may be accurate, Republicans also raised concern that Hegseth's orders could be illegal if they played out as reported. Bipartisan leadership of the Armed Services Committees in both chambers, both the House and the Senate, vowed to probe the matter, with Senators Roger Wicker and Jack Reed promising, quote, vigorous oversight to determine the facts related to these circumstances. Representative Mike Turner of Ohio told Cordes on Sunday that, quote, if that occurred, that would be a very serious, and I agree, would be an illegal act. And Representative Don Bacon of Nebraska said on ABC's This Week that, quote, if it was as if the article said, that's a violation of the law of war. But I don't think he would be foolish enough to make this decision to say, kill everybody, kill the survivors, because that's a clear violation of the law of war. Bacon, who sits on the House Armed Services Committee, told ABC's Jonathan Karl. Of course, so I'm very suspicious that he would have done something like that because it would go against common sense. So, to recap, and we're going to be talking about this quite a bit because this is a bombshell, the Trump administration has likely committed war crimes and murder on the direct order of the defense secretary, former Fox News host Pete Hegseth, such that even Donald Trump is a bit cagey about co-signing this and standing by his man. He seems prepared to throw Hegseth under the bus. Actual military experts who are much smarter and infinitely more experienced than Hegseth have said, yeah, if this reporting is true, you committed murder and war crimes. And now even lazy, supine, feckless, cowardly Republican lawmakers have been roused from their slumber, and they're like, shit, I guess we better look into this. This is devastating news for Hegseth, which I would argue is good news for America, because we may actually see some accountability and get this dangerous loser kicked out of this very important office. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.